In the morning, we were discussing the murder of Irina Zaruska in Charlotte, North Carolina, and how to stop these kinds of attacks by homeless, mentally ill assailants, including institutionalizing or jailing such people so they cannot attack again. Now, during that discussion, I wrongly said they should get lethal injections. I apologize for that extremely callous remark. I'm obviously aware that not all mentally ill homeless people act as the perpetrator did in North Carolina, and that so many homeless people deserve our empathy and compassion. In the morning, we were discussing.
Okay, Kilmeade, it's your buddy Moo Juice Match here. That's Brian Kilmeade from Fox News making an apology video for a comment he said. What was this comment that he said? So they're talking about, obviously the murder of Irina by, whatever the guy's name is, DeCarlos Brown or whatever. I don't remember his name. I'm trying not to remember it. The guy that needs to be executed for murder. That one. And he makes some fashion a comment, but let's hear what actually the whole context of it was, because I haven't heard this. I'm just like, as far as I know, this is just stupid timing right now to make a comment like that when the entire right side of the country and a chunk of the left side are coming together to get these weird leftist violent rhetoric people out of the mainstream. And Kilmeade's going to have to make an apology for something. So let's see what it is that he had to say in all of his intellectual glory, shall we? Let's see if I can pull this up. This is going to be, of course, on Fox. This is, I think, Fox and Friends is what it was on.
Fiction they go through.
If they've been in court 14 times, committed crimes 14 times, I'm sorry, they need to be in prison, because this guy's an evil person. To be able to just go up behind someone and do that, a complete stranger who had been working on this train, and do that is not something that we can wrap our heads around, because it's something that most people wouldn't ever do. But if you're evil enough to do this, you need to be behind bars. And it was up to these judges and the justice system to say, okay, you've been arrested 14 times.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's enough. We need to get you off the streets. And his mom was begging for it, and his stepbrother or half-brother was agreeing with the mom, saying this guy needs to be behind bars.
We don't have to. We feel so compassionate because you see the mental health crisis happening.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not our job. We shouldn't have to live in fear while they figure out what's going on right there.
True. Very
true. Put them in a mental institution, put them in a jail, and you guys figure it out. But people having to duck and dive on the trains and the buses, walking through the street, this is one case, but this is happening all across the country.
Okay, one thing I'm going to interject here is I agree to an extent about the mental institution. Yeah, put them in there until they kill someone. Once they kill someone, execute them. That's all there is to it. This whole idea that if someone's been arrested over and over and over, first of all, this dude is probably faking his mental illness, because he and his brother have been in jail for the same kind of shit. His brother murdered someone not too long ago. Their dad was in and out of prison. This dude has been seen in both lights, both acting schizophrenic when he's gotten caught to use it as an excuse to get away with shit, and he's also been seen as someone who is capable of making cognitive thoughts, intelligent thoughts on his own. If he's capable of doing that, there's no reason he shouldn't stand a regular trial and be put to death. There's just no excuse for that. I still haven't gotten to what Kilmeade said yet.
And it's not a money issue. They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either
Absolutely.
you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this?
Okay, listen. Okay. Kilmeade. That's the kind of offhanded bullshit comment I make with my buddies about shit like this, living where I live. We're surrounded by people who frequently want to just game the system, and they never spend enough time in jail. If they show up for court, they cause tons of damage. They leave their fucking heroin needles everywhere. They commit crimes. They're violent. They're aggressive. They're psychotic. They walk around buck naked in front of kids all through my town. They freebase openly in the middle of town in public. They've all been dealt with. The cops, they get a slap on the wrist. They go right back in. They refuse to help. They refuse the services. There's a rescue mission in town that does a great job with the people that actually decide they want to change their lives. These folks have no desire to change their lives whatsoever. All they want to do is continue on being the piece of shit they are and dredge on society. So yeah, at some point the joke is going to be made, maybe involuntary lethal injection. My problem is, do you have any idea how much that would cost, Brian? You know how expensive lethally injecting all of those psychotic, frequent crime, homeless people are? Now, obviously, I'm kidding there. That's not a solution to something like that. We don't, there was a guy that used to do that. His name was Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Tepes, Vlad Dracul, the guy we get Dracula from. He would take his homeless and kill them en masse so that they weren't hungry anymore and they weren't a burden on Wallachia. So maybe not the best look, especially when we on our side are trying to shove all these extremists into silence, Brian. So I get your apology. I don't know how serious he was about that statement. I think it was probably a really poor decision to say, for sure. I don't know how much of it was tongue-in-cheek and how much is serious.
I would say this: we're not voting for the right people. In North Carolina, wake up. You can't keep putting these people in power. They woke up in Los Angeles. They got a stronger DA. They woke up and they got rid of Chancellor Bodine.
Now, and so, again, I'm not trying to make excuses for the guy because I think it was a stupid thing to say right now, especially in this day and age. I mean, there's a big difference between suggesting euthanize career criminals, people who are happy to stay and just drain the system and just be rid of them, than there is to celebrate the murder and assassination of a guy in front of his kids and his wife. So, I mean, there's a vast difference there for sure. At the same time, Brian, not a good look. I don't know that I would have issued an apology. I would have probably said, get good. But that's the kind of asshole that I am. Obviously, people are calling for Brian's job, which I don't know that's appropriate. Absolutely not, considering Hassan Piker and people like that are still out and about. That Don Lemon had a job for however long he had, that the people on The View are still there, that Van, whatever his damn name is, I don't even want to remember the idiot's name, black dude on CNN or MSNBC, whichever bullshit it is. Any of these assholes have jobs, Brian Kilmeade's fine, because they say a lot worse. What he said was an offhand comment. Not great look right now, Brian. You say that about people that are actually trying to kill you. The dude on the bus, yeah, euthanize him. He murdered someone. Therefore, yes, death penalty is totally justified. Anybody that's actually killing someone, the death penalty is justified. Hell, if you're on the street and you're getting close to killing someone, then you die in that situation, then I have no sympathy for you. It's like George Floyd overdosing on fentanyl, and he was an asshole. So no sympathy whatsoever for George Floyd or his family. The guy on the bus that Daniel Penny killed trying to defend everybody else on the bus, no sympathy for that guy whatsoever. The system failed them. That doesn't mean it's the rest of us that have to deal with it. That's bullshit. Our tax money shouldn't be going into these perpetual programs. We have needle drop-off sites all over town where I live, and you will just see piles of needles next to these fucking drop-off sites because the heroin addicts can't be bothered to clean their trash up, and you still see heroin needles all over town. People volunteer to go do needle cleanup at public parks where kids play, and there's needles all over the fucking place. All these guys get free money every month. Free to them because they don't have to do anything but leech on the system to get it, but it comes out of my pocket. It comes out of the pockets and the futures of my children. So yeah, I have a bone to pick here. Euthanize them, no, but either lock them up permanently and give them the bare minimum to survive if this is the life they want to live. If you are serially on the street using all the time, and somehow you haven't OD'd because you can go get the stuff to stop you from ODing at my city hall. You can just go get it for free. They give it out there. So if your friends are overdosing on fentanyl or heroin, you can just put it under their nose and stuff and make them live, just perpetuating the cycle. I don't think that should be available to anyone unless it's like a situation where somebody got dosed something at a party, because you can slip that crap into someone's drink at a bar. You never know. So yeah, this stuff should be available to certain people, but it shouldn't be available to people that are freebasing on the street, that are shooting up in front of gas stations. They shouldn't have any help. Let them overdose. They've done this over and over and over. There's tons and tons of programs to help them. They get in and they go right back to what they were doing afterward. They get their little slap on the wrist from the court. They go sit in these fucking programs and they go right back out in the street to break into cars, to break into houses, to assault random people. In the place I was born, the town 7 miles up from me not too long ago, a few years back, some family was walking with their 2-year-old and some crazy-ass homeless lady came up and just threw that 2-year-old into a building. Hurled the kid into a building, causing severe damage. I don't know what befell that person, but if I was the dad standing there like he was, the first thing I would have done to that woman was kill her. She would not be alive anymore to do that to someone else. Because to me, I'll go to jail for that. Fuck that. You hurt my kid, your life is over. I mean, it's a wrap for you. I would rather be judged by 12 than have my kid buried by 6, bro. It's simple. And if you can't have that in you, then there's something wrong with you as an individual. I'm sorry. If you can't defend your family, that's on you. But in this situation, he made an offhanded comment. So what do we do with these homeless people? That's the real question. These people that are going to be doing this over and over and over. And yeah, there are people that are psychotic. Put them in asylums. Put them in asylums. We should take some of these jails. If we get rid of all the illegal immigrants that are in these prisons and send them back to wherever the fuck they came from, we can use part of those cells. We can take part of those jails, revamp them into mental health institutions, still have the prisons and jails, part of it, because we still need those. But I guarantee if we went through and found all the innocent people in prison or people that are in prison for shit they shouldn't be in there for, and we just let those fuckers go, we actually did our due diligence and got people convicted for crimes they actually committed, there'd be a lot less people in prison. Instead, a lot of innocent people go to jail. A lot more guilty people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going that far to it. There's a lot more guilty people than there are innocent people in prison. But there are a lot of innocent people that have spent too much time in jail for shit they didn't do or for shit they never should have gone to prison for. I mean, look at what they tried to do to Daniel Penny. We brought him up a minute ago. They tried to put him in prison for defending people around him. Do you know how stupid that is? Derek Chauvin, the guy that was dealing with George Floyd, when he fentanyl overdosed, he's in prison. What the hell is he in prison for? Why was a single protester from January 6th in prison, but no one from BLM is in prison for the rest of their lives, which is where they should be, because those people are sick to the core. Those people have a disease that cannot be cured, so we should lock them up for life. But when we lock people up in prison, the meals they get should be rice and bread and water, and that's all they should be fed 3 times a day, period. You're in prison. It's not supposed to be fun. No television, no fucking weight room. Your exercise should be able to go out in the yard and walk 3 laps, go back to your fucking cell where you belong until your time is done. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. If you've done the time, or if you've done the crime, you're going to do the time. You might as well do it right. You don't need to be out of your cell all the time. You don't need to be socializing and getting to meet these other criminals in there and making more ties. You should be in almost isolation if we had room for it. It's that simple. And you should be moved around every couple weeks. I'm all for it. I'm all for changing people around maybe every month, so you never really get to know anyone. You're always isolated. You're always alone. You always feel like you're by yourself, just like your victims were when you victimized them, alone, without help. Yeah. It's harsh because we need to be more harsh on people like that. Once you're convicted, dude. Especially those who plead guilty. You plead guilty, that's it. Fucking, you deserve a worse punishment than everybody else for pleading guilty. Plea bargains should go the opposite direction. If you've confessed, you should spend more time in prison. That's just what it is. But then we also need to be more diligent because people will coerce people into confessions. So where are we? The system is broken, right? Overall, it does work. I believe that overall it works. But when it comes to the homeless system, the system of how we deal with our homeless people, why is there a single veteran on the street in the U.S. when we could be putting money into housing veterans in special places for veterans that are homeless? Veteran-only homeless shelters. Give them the help they need. Have it hooked directly to the VA. I mean, not that would be any good, but it's a thought. Anyway, it's easier than dealing with this. But yeah, Kilmeade said something really dumb. I think it was just an offhanded comment. I don't think he meant it. I mean, if he did, he did. I don't know. But I can't completely disagree with the mindset why someone would come to that conclusion if they're just continually and perpetually doing this shit over and over and over. that said the death penalty should be reserved for those who have murdered someone, who are killers. It's not for everyone. Okay? Traitors to the Constitution. So, like, say, a senator who violates the Constitution, a governor who violates the Constitution during a time of war, anyway. Sure, I think that treason is definitely worth death sentence in certain circumstances. Not in all circumstances, but in certain circumstances, because historically there's precedent for that. Spies, yes, I'm all for it. Spies to foreign governments that are American citizens, that's an act of treason, should be punishable by death. That's just what it is. But I think we need to revamp how we do the death penalty in general. I don't think lethal execution should be on the table at all. I think it's far too nice. I think it needs to be more graphic and more public. And I think that the electric chair is fine. There's a survivability rate, but firing squad has pretty good results. And again, good old-fashioned rope and a drop. I mean, I would almost, in some circumstances, bring in drowning as one, like for pedos, kid touchers, because that's something that should be definitely punished by death is kid touching, pedophilia. Those guys should absolutely be put to death. And if we don't have a wood chipper handy, we can put weights on their ankles and put them in a big sink tank and just film it while they drown. I think that would be a good way a very humanitarian way. Lots of people drown every year, lots of innocent people. Let them feel what that's like. Yeah, I mean, there's more creative, cheap ways to do this. We don't have to make it like this expensive ordeal. Maybe that's the hang up that politicians are having with the death sentences. It's so expensive. But also, we need to streamline that shit, not make it last 30 or 40 years on death row in hopes of an appeal. You get one shot in an appeal, maybe two, depending on circumstances, and that's it. And that needs to happen quick. The courts need to be on it within a year. That way, after at least a year, we can decide whether or not we're going to retry you or put you to death. As for just dealing with homeless people that way, veterans and shit, like I said, put them in a veterans-only homeless shelter. Don't give them an option. Have part of that shelter be an incarcerated shelter. So if they're addicts or if they're mental, they're in that institution. You have an institutional side of it, and you have the side of it for those who are just stuck on a bad run. Maybe they have PTSD and they're 100%, and they just can't get back into society. They can't hold a job down because of the flashbacks or the anger, all that shit. But they can still have that help. They can still have a place to stay with trained people there at all times to help ensure that they're going to be safe and they're going to be healthy and get at least some dignity and get them off the street. That will solve a huge problem. I think it's like 13% or 20% of homeless people are veterans in the United States. Veterans in one way or another. But make sure they're actual veterans and not just the ones that are faking it, because I've seen a lot of those. I know people that I went to school with that never served that say they're veterans, and they tend to get beat up pretty thoroughly by quite a few people out here. Doesn't happen super often, but when it does, it's hilarious to watch. Anyway, I'm Moo Juice Magic. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already, like the channel. I could use it. I'm back to making videos almost every day. And hopefully we'll be able to move past all this shit the next week or two. I'm worried that it's not going to be that quick before we can go back to some kind of normalcy. I'm guessing we won't be the same anymore. And I do think something big is coming up. And it concerns me. I'm hoping it's something big in a positive way and not something big in a negative way, which is what the left really seems to want to have happen. I have no idea why they think this is a good idea for them. But let's see if we can get Hassan Piker kicked off the internet. I'm Moo Juice Magic, and I love you in the face. Bye.